Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you a look at what Sigma calls their flagship lens, and that is the 500mm f4, and it's from their sport lineup. And this, of course, is a dedicated ultra telephoto, super telephoto. I think Sigma even calls it a hyper telephoto. And so whatever euphemism you want to throw at it, this is a lens that is designed for sports and wildlife and comes with a price tag and a size. You know, when you pull out of the massive box a lens case this size, a lens case that has straps on it to carry it like a backpack, you know you've got a big lens inside. And that's certainly the case with this 500mm f4 Sport. Now, it is a beautifully made lens, and while it has a steep price tag on it, this lens retails for basically right under $6,000 US. When you consider the fact that the equivalent lens from Canon, runs you around $9,000, and similar from Nikon, then you recognize that while it's very, very expensive in an absolute sense, in a relative sense, it comes across as somewhat as a bargain. And so today we're going to break down all of the features in this lens. This is a feature-rich lens. There's a lot of stuff that Sigma has packed into it. So we're going to break down what that is today. I'll show you some photos from it to begin with. Then we'll follow it up with a secondary episode where we really break down that image quality and look at a lot of photos together and see how well that this lens actually performs. So just to let you know, before we jump in, I have tested it both on a Canon 5D Mark IV body, which it's currently attached to. This little thing attached to the back is a full frame 5D4. But I have also used it via the Sigma MC11 extensively on my Sony A7R Mark III. And so I will give you a little bit of feedback on how it performs both in the native mount. This is an EF mount that I'm testing, but then also adapted to Sigma, and where that combination will work in my opinion and where I think that it won't. So anyway, we're going to jump in and we're going to take a closer hands-on look at the lens itself. So let's take a closer look at this lens. First of all, just to give you a little bit of a size comparison. I mean, it's a very large lens. And so the largest lens that I own myself, just because I don't do necessarily a ton of telephoto work, is the Canon 100-400 f4.5 to 5.6 L Mark II. And so as you can see, the Sigma 500mm f4 just dwarfs this lens in its overall size. And so anyway, it is a large and a heavy lens. Just giving you a quick look at the dimensions. The lens is a 144.8 millimeters in diameter, or 5.7 inches. And it is 15 inches long, or 380.3 millimeters, and that is not including the lens hood itself. And so, of course, obviously you add on the lens hood, you add on a really significant amount of additional length. And so overall, it becomes quite a large combination. The lens itself weighs in at 3,310 grams. And so, basically 3 1/3 kilograms. And so it is certainly a significant lens in every way. It's very physically large. So let's take a look at the feature set, however, because this is a very feature-rich lens. First of all, the body itself is made of magnesium alloy, which is both strong and lightweight. So that's similar to what's in, say, this Canon 5D Mark IV body. The basic construction is magnesium alloy, and so identical here. It is very thoroughly weather sealed, everything from coatings on the front to a rear gasket, then a lot of internal seals along the way. Sigma's sport level of weather sealing is definitely very, very high grade, as is the construction itself. It is built to very, very exacting standards. Now, it has a very significant tripod foot here. Obviously, for a lens like this, you have certain standards for wanting to have effective balance with it, and so it does balance quite well, particularly when you have the lens hood attached. But even without, you can see that it sits and balances nice. So they designed that well. One thing I will dock them on, however, is the fact that this tripod foot is not Arca Swiss. What that means is that I've got to add some kind of actual quick release plate if I want to mount it right onto a tripod. And so I certainly prefer that to be something that is Arca Swiss compatible. Now, you will note here on the back, here's another feature, the fact that you can either click or de-click the actual, and this is for the tripod rotation. And so when it's clicked, it will lock in at it has detents at 90 degrees all the way around. If you turn that off, we'll switch into this off position, you can just free rotate it, and so you can lock it in whatever position you so desire. And so I've actually never seen that before, and it's an interesting addition because it allows there to be detents you can lock in or to have a complete free rotation. Now looking here, this actually has a drop-in filter system, and if I believe it is it's a 46 millimeter filter that is there. Now, default, there is actually a protection filter that is there in the drop-in filter. However, you can purchase a circular polarizer that drops in there as well. And so an interesting addition there, and all you do is you turn and it releases, and then it will just click back into place securely, and obviously seals up securely as well because the lens retains weather sealing with that in place. Now, if we move over to the other side here, you'll see that the first thing you see here are things that are related to autofocus. And so you've got an option to turn the beep confirmation on and off. Kind of a nice feature if you're in, for example, maybe going after wildlife or something, and you don't want any sound that might scare off wildlife. So it allows you to control that. You also have an option to control an AF preset. And so you have a set button down here. You have the ability to set a preset, and then you have buttons up here that will allow you to focus to, and so there's a total of 4 of them at, again, 4 points, kind of 4 points of the compass, but, kind of off-centered a little bit so they're easier to get at. But what that'll allow you to do is to preset focus positions, and then you can set that here. And so say that if you're working out of a blind or if you're shooting towards a consistent focus point, you can preset to there and then instantly go right back to that focus area. So again, a nice feature there. You've got a lock here and I've got just a Peak design because I had just one of their straps attached carrying it the other day, but you can attach the included sling strap that comes with it to help you to carry the lens itself. And obviously it is somewhat heavy to carry for any duration of time. Now, getting to the next bank of switches here, kind of the typical lineup. We have got your basic focus options here. In the typical AF position, you do still have full-time manual override, but in the manual override position, the big thing that changes there is it allows you to have manual override even when you are in continuous AF mode. And so, or in Canon speak, AF servo. So even then you can override, and obviously manual focus is self-explanatory. Looking here, you also have a focus limiter, so allows you to go from 10 meters to infinity, or from 3.5 meters, which represents minimum focus distance. That's 137.8 inches. And so 3.5 meters to 10 meters. And so if you're focusing in a closer range, you can keep it from racking full. Or if you're shooting at a more of a distance, you can start at 10 meters and to infinity. So you have some options there. When it comes to the optical stabilizer, you've got a couple of different modes that you can access here. So you can turn it off. You can put it in mode number 1, which is kind of the general purpose mode. Mode number 2 is a mode particularly for panning or for motorsports, and so you're only stabilizing on one axis. However, it does have an intelligent stabilizing that will also do some detecting and to kind of work with you on that. You also have the option to program some custom functions, and you can do that through using the USB dock. So custom functions will allow you to program different things like your focus speed. You have the ability to prioritize either accuracy or speed. And so out of the box, by the way, it emphasizes accuracy. You can unlock more focus speed by going to the other. Most of us that test these lenses don't find a huge difference between the actual focus accuracy and the faster speed mode. So oftentimes it's worth getting that extra speed. You can also program in, say on another position, you could program in some different functionality for the stabilizer. And so you could go into like actually a mode 3 to where it doesn't really stabilize the viewfinder. It basically only kicks in stabilization at the moment of capture. And that allows you to, have a little more flexibility in following action. And you'd also get a little bit better of a little bit more stabilization at the time of focus capture. One final thing I do want to point you to, and that is the lens hood itself. It is made out of carbon fiber. It's got a rubberized front surface here, which is kind of important because a lot of times with lenses like this, you kind of put them face down because that's the best way to balance them. And so, you know, it's designed to bear that weight, but it is quite lightweight for such a large lens hood, and it just has a locking knob here that will compress it down. It stays in place very nicely. And so overall, you've got obviously a really big focus ring here, distance window. It is a nice setup, a nice lens for sure. So as you can see, this is a beautifully constructed, it is a feature-rich lens. And so it gives you a lot of different tools to enable you to succeed out in the field for those demanding moments, you know, that maybe you've waited hours to get and you want to get everything right in those crucial moments. It does give you the tools to allow you to accomplish that. And so it's very competitive with first-party lenses in terms of the assets that are there to work with. And so in the subsequent episode, we will break down the image quality and the focus quality to see how all of those things compare. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you look in the description down below, I do have linkage to an image gallery where you can look at the photos that I've taken with the lens. I have also gotten buying links in the description down below if you're interested in shopping for and purchasing one for yourself. You can also follow me there on social media, including now on Instagram. You can become a patron and support what I'm doing. And of course, beyond that, you can also sign up for my newsletter, and you can click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.